What's good, church? Coming at you again with a video. Way overdue. Super stoked to talk about a lot of stuff coming up. This Sunday, tomorrow, there is going to be the beginning of a sermon series where Shane is going to preach tomorrow, and then I'm going to do the next two. And it's a series on worship. And it's probably the most important thing for worship at Table Mountain. More than any of the other stuff in this video. If you can see those sermons, ideally live. If not, go back and watch the live streams because it's okay to understand, what time we do things at, but it's a lot more important to understand why we do them and why we do them biblically. And so so check out that January 14th through 28th, every Sunday, every sermon's worship specific. So catch up on them if you don't catch them. After the last one, I'll send out an email with the links to all the Facebook videos, all the live streams of the sermons. And in there, I'll put also an invite to the next all-team gathering, early March, late February, that kind of season. I want to get kind of in front of Easter. I want to do two rehearsals for Easter and just kind of get in front of talking about Easter and why we're doing some of the stuff we're doing there. Our weakest link as a team right now is booth recruiting, mainly the lyrics. Right now we have a plethora of engineers. Sadly, due to just organic conflicts that are occurring right now, it's hard to get an engineer Thursday night more than Sunday morning. But that's not as big a vacuum as the slide clicking stuff. And I think it would be wise to maybe pivot kids to helping making slides and checking correction of them, but just having adults clicking next on it, because I think the pressure of doing that in the moment is, not a big deal to an adult, but it might feel a little bigger to the kids. So we might need to pivot there. But anybody you know of that has a heart for worship, send them my way. Planning Center services, the big thing for this video. I am really pleased to announce that I'm finally able to train people on Planning Center. So if you have any questions, reach out day or night. My phone does not ring or make sound if the kids are asleep or it's going to disturb me or anybody's sleep. I'm really good about like airplane mode and just boundaries with my phone. Honestly, I'm a screen addict. I use it too much, so I don't let it have that control over me. I like to put it, away when it's time to be away. So don't feel like you can't ask a question. Ideally, if we could do like a longer format in-person thing, the best times for me are late morning Mondays and Wednesdays, evenings on Thursdays. Those aren't great times for, careers and stuff. So if we need to do another evening or weekend, just reach out and ask. We'll find something like that. But just organically, late morning Monday, Wednesday, and then evenings Thursdays before rehearsal. Those times are just easy for me to do it because I'm already in that plate. Okay, so within Planning Center, one of the things that is occurring to me is that people aren't really understanding like kind of like the timelines on stuff, right? Where they know why where they know when we're supposed to click in and block out, but not necessarily why. One of the things we want to move toward is having a repertoire, a pool of songs that we choose from week in and week out that have a spiritual formation on the church. Planning Center will understand them as one song, but we might have a traditional one and a contemporary one and a reggae one or whatever, right? But the average John Doe in the audience trying to sing is going to sing 90% the notes and the words in the same kind of sequence, so that when they see the thing, they kind of know what to do with their voice, so they don't have to think as much, so they can enter in more. And in order to do that, I'm not rolling this out yet, but the end goal, one of the steps along the way for that is to use rehearsal time, not to learn the song, but to actually just run something we already know. So to get to that end goal, so this Sunday, tomorrow is January 14th. January 15th, the day after January 14th, in Planning Center, will go live the songs in the key that they're going to be in, right, for January 28th. To give people about 10 days with the song in the correct key to learn it and run it at home before they're there Thursday. And the main reason, honestly, like the only reason we're not deploying that kind of standard yet is because keys and charts and things, they're just not, we can't like stand on them yet and go, we're doing a reggae cut, and the reggae cut, we do it in A, and in A, we don't do a bridge, whatever, all those little things get worked out, kind of this summer. And then we should have good quality resources to learn the material ahead of the rehearsal. But that means that January 15th, the songs will go out in the key for January 28th, which means from like the vocalists and from the worship leaders, like the praying over the set and the titles and what keys they're going to be in, all that had to happen before the 15th, which was kind of last week and the week before. The team actually does affect the set list as well, like who we're playing with. You know, is this song going to have drums? Do we have drums? Do we need a violin? Like, so that's where the whole thing from. So January 31st, I'm actually now that on January 31st or before, you enter in your blockout dates for the month of March. And then February 7th, you'll receive an email saying you've been scheduled in these roles on these dates for the month of March, so that people have 3 weeks heads up. That's going to work for 90% of people, but there's obviously going to be exceptions to things. But just talk to me about stuff and we'll work it out. We'll find ways to make stuff work. For that 40 song repertoire, I am looking for your recommendations and what forms the body spiritually, right? And so what I'm doing is I'd want those as soon as like January 29th. As soon as you've heard all three of those sermons and you kind of understand what Table Mountain's trying to do with worship from a spiritual perspective, then go and look for songs. And even then, keep in mind that of the four things you hear about, you're going to hear about invitation, word, table, send. And invitation and send are the hardest ones to find songs for. Most songs are biblically the lyrics are Bible, or they're about Jesus, or they're about the sacrifice, the blood, the redemption, those kinds of things. Finding things that are invitations to worship, where God gathers his people, where we are invited, where the holiness of God is underlined. Finding things where we are sent, we're commissioned with a mission. Those things are harder to find, and that's so if you can find titles that do that in a way that fits within the liturgy, and that ideally means something to you that you would be really blessed to do, send me those titles so that we can kind of make this repertoire together. I've been asking for months for songs, and people send lists of songs, and it's just in those lists, it's hard to find ones that are actually, honestly, in some cases, the lyrics were barely worship or not worship, and then sometimes they were worshipful, but they weren't necessarily. They did only one thing. They only could be used as like a communion piece. And that's okay. That's more of like a special number. When it doesn't fit within the 40 song liturgy that we're going to choose these songs, the 4 songs we do each week, we'll choose them out of the 40 song repertoire. The repertoire has the function of shaping the body of the people, shaping people spiritually, like the fruit of the Spirit, right? That's the end goal of the repertoire. That doesn't mean we can't do individual numbers during communion, during recessionals. Just there's a lot of different opportunities to do other stuff, but those main 41s that we'll hear the most, I'd like them to fit within the vision of where we're going for worship next year. So you guys have done a fantastic job with arranging. We still have some work to do in arranging, but it feels more like just like kind of communicating as people and trying to, try being more tender and more big, and doing that without like making people feel like they're doing it wrong, because they're not. I just want to stretch. I want to try tender things like Philip Glass and big things like August Burns Red. I want to just try stuff, but whatever. And that's not literal, but anyway, so we've done a great job with the sort of things I've kind of asked us for, transitions and arrangement. And what I'm looking for next is a focus on visual. The reality, the sad truth is that people listen to live music with their eyeballs. You look like you know what you're doing, you act like you know what you're doing, and they will believe you know what you're doing, and they will think that what you played is what you meant to play, and it sounds good. I can't underline that enough. Our main pain point visually is the cables everywhere, right? And sadly, we don't have the budget to figure the room out wirelessly. That's just like what we would pay for one wireless mic is what we could pay for the whole stage full of corded mics. But troubleshooting the sound is also benefited from a visual, just looking clean aesthetically. Now, some of the stuff to help us look better visually, like the smaller mic stands, for the amps, the guitar amps, so we don't have the big giant arms kind of sticking out for those mic amps. Those are things that Table Mountain does have the budget for. It's just going to take time to get in. But I'm trying to get us to look pretty good stage blocking wise before Easter. That's the goal. So some stuff is going to show up actually soon, like middle of next week. No, like 10 days. Some stuff is going to show up in about 10 days. So in a couple of rehearsals here, we'll start having, cables that are more the right length and mic stands, mic clips. But just take that visual thing. So again, some people were there for that rehearsal, but what you want to do with your mic cable is some people wrap them around the mic stand, or they just use the little clips to clip it to the mic stand. Some people just go dangle straight down. Whatever I'm not, your method is your method. I don't have it doesn't make a difference to the visual or the whatever for us to all do the exact same thing from this point on the back of the mic to the base of the mic stand. But once the cable hits the floor, right there should be a coil at what we call the source. In sound reinforcement, we call that, this is the source. I'm the source. The destination is whatever you're listening to with it at home there. So at the source, we want to have a neat coil of the mic cable, or in general the cables, and then have that take its own path to whatever box it's running to. The main reason for that is so that we can send a tech, a non-engineer, right, kid. They can come up and they can go take this cable and replace the one that's plugged into his microphone. And if it's a rat's nest up there, whoever the kid is, they're gonna have a hard time finding what box it's plugged into and where to route it. All those things. When it's routed as neatly as we can do it with as many mics and cables as we've got, as neatly as we can get it, it's going to reduce that time to troubleshoot and get us back to where we can hear things again, troubleshooting the problem. And again, the other thing it's going to do is just help more people enter in and engage, because they just see something that looks cleaner, that looks better. The reality is that if you look like you are enjoying what you're doing and you're comfortable in what you're doing, it will help more people come with us to that special place. I've asked Steve Allison to kind of finesse the charts that are in Planning Center. So anytime we change charts around, we should kind of run it by him. And then for the vocalists, like when I ask you for keys and stuff, like if you're not giving me that feedback of what keys work for you, here's my ideal. My ideal is to have everybody's name on every single song. And I just know that like Jen's confidence key for establish the work of your hands is B as in Bravo, and she's capable of doing it kind of in A and capable of doing it in C better than A, but both A and C are not the confidence key. B is the confidence key. And then when it goes to D, that high spot in the chorus I can't hit, but I can get the verses. And when it goes to G, I can give you the verses, but I can't hit the stuff in the choruses anymore. That's my ideal feedback for, and then all the other keys are just like I can't really hit the highs or the lows. They're just really strainy and pushy and hard for me. I could probably do like a harmony in the chorus maybe, but that kind of feedback is my ideal amount of feedback for each song for every person, so that when we're choosing the song's keys, again, that's like at least 3 weeks out, so we can announce it 2 weeks out. So when we're in that time of choosing the keys, we can go, all right, so far, that week has Mary and Elena. The week after has Jen and Mary. So on this week, we should do it in the key that Elena can do it in and Mary can kind of do it in. And then the next week we'll do it in the key that Mary can do it in and Jen can kind of do it in. Right. And even all that for now is kind of how we're going. Eventually we're going to move to what I call congregational keys. There is a vocal range that is just better for congregations to sing in. And so once we get to where we know what our keys are, I'm going to be putting things out where 4 of the songs are in somebody's key, but one of them is in a congregational key. And and what we're going to find over and over again is that congregational key is actually easier for us as a team, because more of us can just do it also. I mean, we're also humans with vocal folds. Without the feedback of what keys work for you on what songs, it's hard for me to put songs in your key. So on Christmas Eve in the morning, somebody comes up to me and goes, hey, are we live streaming tonight? And I don't know, because I didn't feel like I had that chance to talk to the team and discuss it. And I really want to be in a place where I can go, do I have somebody capable of deploying the live stream? Will they be here tonight? And then just answering them. So I think it's best if we have a policy that we just always, whenever you're, and this is honestly just the case, like, because with wireless stuff and in-ear monitors and things, more people can hear you than you think can hear you whenever you're near a microphone. So if you're going to be anywhere near the stage speaking out loud, just assume it's going into a microphone and that it's being live streamed. That's how we should live anyway. Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. Like, that's how we're supposed to talk anyway. I really don't feel like there's a bad apple in the bunch and somebody's up there cussy, and like that's not where this is born from. Like I said, this is just born from fear of, I did it too soon one time and somebody felt hurt, and so I just don't want to repeat that. So I'd rather have a policy of, if we're going to be near the mics, let's assume we're live streamed. The rehearsals are going to start being privately streamed. That's another thing I'm really excited to talk about, that Thursdays we're going to get to a point where we can just go, all right, let's run the set. And we'll click live, go on the live stream, and then we run the set for better and worse. And then Thursday, that's, but then we'll know that we liked doing it 3 times at the end or 2 times at the end or whatever. Then people can run that from Thursday to Sunday. And once we get those arrangements where we really like them, we're like, yo, what a beautiful name. I really liked the way we did it that time. We'll save that rehearsal audio and put that in Planning Center so that people get that 2 weeks before they're up. Not only in the key and tempo, but just the way we do it. I honestly don't feel like I needed to say the thing where, like, if you're near a microphone, just assume, people can hear you, because the team is so mature, and I'm just really blessed. I'm not used to working with teams like that. It's really cool. I don't feel like I needed to say that for those reasons, but what I do want to make clear is that if we're going to be up there doing not like a rehearsal, but an actual program, Christmas Eve service, missions thing, whatever. And then if there's a thing up there, just assume we're going to live stream it. So that way I can just let people know. I can answer more easily whether or not we are live streaming. The rest of this is for admins. If you were an admin in Planning Center, what I want you to do is just let me know that you saw the rest of this video. You saw the admin stuff. Once I know you've seen that, I'm going to go back and put you back in as admin status. The fact that you had that taken away was not because, I have plans to get rid of you in the future. It's not that at all. It's that a lot of the stuff we talked about in this video with the time frames and when we're trying to not change things in the Planning Center, because the thing is, people would look at it and think that it says my name, but that's not my key. I'm going to change it. And I actually really need admins to, especially for the next 3 months, probably for the first year, talk to me before you change things in Planning Center. Just say, hey, I noticed this and I want to make it this. Is that okay? It's either a yes or no. And most of the time it's going to be a yes. It's just that in the last week, I was actually tracking in the studio, and then my phone starts blowing up. Yo, Planning Center is all weird, and some of it was my fault, some of it wasn't. And it's just the water got really muddy. So I just want people to just ask me before you go start changing things around in the Planning Center. And that's it. That's all. Love you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.